are so many interesting, horrifying, or downright weird things in this big world of ours.
Each week, we'll bring you a new true crime story that has little to no coverage in English.
Let us do the translations, so you don't have to.
I'm Petra.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Laura, and welcome to the podcast Translation Murder. It is my turn this week to go, and I'm bringing you a Finnish case. And like I hinted last time, it is an assassination case. And it's over 100 years old. So Petra also was like, maybe it's this one. Do you remember which one you thought it was?
I mean the Bobrikov.
Aha, yeah. No, it's not that one. But I threw you for a loop. But he is in this, by the way. So
What?
yes, he's mentioned in this episode.
Okay, I thought that there was. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there's this guy that's a really famous assassination case in Finland from General Governor Bobrikov. He was a Russian citizen who kind of had some control in Finland during the upset at the beginning of the 1900s. So, but
Can
we're
you
going to be
spell the
talking
name?
about Bobrikov.
Okay.
Bobrikov.
Yeah. Okay. That's what
I
I
would say
thought.
that there are not many Finnish people who don't know him because
Yeah.
he's a very big character. Or not him, but rather the murderer. Anyway, the
Yeah.
case is big in history books in school.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if this case is actually going to also be big or not. But yeah.
Yeah, because you said about there not being that many assassination cases in Finland. So
Yeah. I mean, like political assassination cases, I guess, is quite rare in Finland, I think. So, I mean, coming from the States, I would say we have pretty big ones as well, like, mid-century cases like Kennedy and, the Kennedy family stuff and, and other things, and Martin Luther King Jr., and, we have some pretty famous ones, at least, in the States. But now we're going to cover Finnish one. So I'm covering the assassination of Eliel Soisalon-Soininen. And, yes.
never heard.
Never? Have you?
No.
I didn't know if that's... Oh, it's sarcasm. I thought it was sarcasm. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't
Me
think
neither.
it's-
Okay.
Like it's like Bobrikov is something you read in the history books, but I haven't heard of this.
Yeah. And he's also referred, because I saw some articles from the archives, like old actual articles, and they were referring to him as like E. Johnson or E. Jonsson. So, but regardless, so I'm kind of confused by the naming aspect. So what was he? Was he Soisalon-Soininen or was he Jonsson? It's kind of confusing. But regardless, he was born Johan Morten Eliel Soisalon-Soininen on the 26th. And then there was conflicting dates. It was either the 26th or the 23rd of May in 1856 in Pielisjärvi, which is a town located in northern Karelia in Finland, so the eastern Finland, for the people that aren't familiar with Karelia. He was the son of a bishop and a member of parliament. So his father was a member of parliament, Johan Victor Johnson. So that's where the Jonsson maybe comes from, even though the other Soisalon-Soininen, I don't know where that comes from. And then just a few fun facts about his father, because I just found this as well, was that he was pro-death penalty, even though he was a bishop, which is, I find, kind of hilarious for weird reasons.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, pro-death, but may God save you, kind of thing. So
Sounds
and
like what they are talking in America, no?
yeah,
And also just
true.
how many
Yes.
murders have been done in the name of God,
Yes, exactly. And then he was also opposed to conscription, and he also signed a petition to end prostitution, so he was against prostitution as well. So he seems like a really lovely guy. So his father was also appointed bishop of the Porvoo diocese, which is currently the Tampere diocese, like it got its name renamed. But then before he could start this position, he died of a heart attack at the age of 52. And then I couldn't find much on Eliel Soisalon-Soininen's mother, but according to Wikipedia, her name was Anna Charlotte Stenius, and she lived from 1831 to 1900. So yeah, both of them died before their son, before they could know that their son would be assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, skipping some of the early history, Eliel eventually got a law degree from Helsinki in the year 1897, and then he eventually received the rank of deputy judge in 1882. And he had a pretty prolific career from the graduation from his graduation in 1879 to 1900, so about 21 years. But then he was elevated to the role of procuratori, or procurator, from the years 1901 to 1905. So do either of you know what a procuratori is?
I was just going to ask.
No? Okay, great. Yeah, I'm glad I have these questions written into my my text, because I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't know why it's hard for me to say procurator.
Because it's a difficult word.
Yeah.
Sounds like a notary public or something, but I'm sure it's not that.
Yeah, it's not. So during the period of Finland's autonomy, which is early 1900s, the procurator was an official responsible for the highest law enforcement and the legality of authorities' actions. So, and then this person also worked in conjunction with the Senate. So basically just upholding the law and making sure everything gets enforced, basically.
Like
the highest
supreme judge or something?
Kind of, but not a judge, but more like he's the type of dude to be, okay, it's kind of difficult to explain because it also went through a name change, and I'll go through that later, but what it is currently. But yeah, so he's just, since his law background, it makes sense that he was in charge of legality and law enforcement, basically.
But so he's not like a chosen politician, but like a, what is it? Virkamies. Governing.
Yeah,
role.
he was chosen by some people.
Yeah, obviously, as most of us are when we are hired.
But not the Finnish people, no. And we'll get into that as well.
And it's not like a minister of justice or something like that.
What is the current name of it?
Not that this is super crucial, maybe.
And
to
anyway,
the story, but
this was before the well-established parliament thing. This was the Senate,
yes.
where you have different blocks of different people there, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's a bit he's considered as the supreme guardian of the law. So he just has to make sure that laws are upheld within the Senate and that type of stuff. And yeah, so kind of also a nonsense title, but also very it's a very respected title and very high up in the government. He's one of the highest people in the government at this point, from the Finnish side, disregarding the Russians and stuff because they have their own system and control over Finns at this point in Finnish history, so which we'll go into. So during the period, so he was procurator, and nowadays it's referred to the oikeuskansleri, or the Chancellor of Justice.
Okay.
So that's the equivalent of today's title. And the title was changed from procurator. Fucking hell, I'm gonna constantly fuck that up.
You should just record it once, or take the best one and copy paste it every time.
It won't be obvious at all.
No.
So it changed from procurator to Chancellor of Justice in the year 1917 or 18, and basically, so the job was to assist the Governor General. So Bobrikov, he was kind of Bobrikov's assistant in this matter, like one below Bobrikov, in supervising the obedience of the law. And then, yeah, we'll mention Bobrikov a little bit later too. So during the time that Eliel was holding office, it was pretty tumultuous time in Finnish history, like I alluded to, and Finland had been under Russian rule for quite a while and had, enjoyed a bit of freedom governing their own affairs because, Finland was proven to be, loyal to Russia, and they were kind of like, things were going pretty well even though that they were still controlled by Russia. And then, because Alexander II had increased power of the governing body of Finland, so they were able to kind of govern themselves a little bit more during this period. But then this changed when Nicholas II issued a manifesto called, do you remember what this is from the history books, Petra? I'm just going to quiz you all the time.
No, I
Please
don't.
only do this with
I remember
Petra,
what
not
it
me.
is, but I don't remember the name of it.
It's called the February Manifesto.
Okay.
So,
Yes,
and it was...
of course it is.
Yeah, given on the 15th of February, 1899. And this manifesto made it so that the imperial state of Russia would have power over the Grand Duchy of Finland within the need of consent from the local Finnish government. So basically, without the need of consent, Russia could rule over Finland without any need of consent. Yeah, well, you have a government, but we don't give a fuck that you guys have a government. We're still going to rule over you. And, just give you these ultimatums and these rules and regulations and whatnot. So many people view the manifesto as the most significant aspect of Russification of Finland. And so the turning of Finland into Russia, kind of. And these are called the sortovuodet or the sortokaudet in Finnish. So, yeah. Yes. And these periods of time, the sortokaudet, were broken up into two different periods of time. The first and second. The first was in 1899 to 1905, and this is the ensimmäinen sortokausi. And then the 1908 to 1907 is the toinen sortokausi. So just there's two different periods, basically going from 18 years of time where this was going on, this manifesto stuff, and general Finland was under Russia's thumb, kind of. This manifesto led to Tsarist oppression, and which led to more rules and regulations, some of them, for example, this is just a few, Orthodox Russian Church's status was strengthened. The press and news was subjected to tighter Russian censorship than before, because of course, I'm sure if that was, if Russia had control of Finland, that would probably be the exact same thing as well. It kind of reminds me of when Putin and Trump were visiting Finland a few years ago, and then I remember all of the Helsingin Sanomat, what is it, the mainoksia,
Billboards.
the billboards and advertisements. It's we have real free press and stuff. It was oh,
welcome
shit,
to welcome to the land of free press or something.
Yeah, this type of stuff, and it was everywhere. And so it's kind of, even now Russia's known for the censorship of the media. So, and then the other things that this manifesto or regulations kind of did was, the Grand Duchy of Finland was then subject to Russian rules of military service. So whatever the difference is, I'm not sure, but maybe it's more hardcore in Russia. I'm not sure. And then a separate manifesto or language manifesto of 1900 was also put into place, which made Russian the language of administration in Finland in 1900. And then there was an estimated about 8,000 Russians in Finland, in all of Finland, in a population of 2,700,000. So basically the Finns saw this as kind of Russian minority ruling Finland, and they were in charge. So
yeah. I think the military thing was that before the manifesto, Finns didn't need to go to the Russian army, and that was it.
That's
Finns just didn't go anywhere. But then suddenly it's okay, now we have to go to army, now we have to go to war for Russia. And
Yeah.
people are like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. That doesn't sound like motivating stuff to do.
Yeah. Like that's my next point, where it was the conscription law, basically, that was signed in by Nicholas II on July 1901. And it was, forcing Finns to serve in the Russian units. So, and then last one I'll mention is that from April 1903 until the Russian Revolution in 1905, the Governor General, or like Bobrikov, used powers to personally abolish several newspapers and to deport notable Finnish political leaders. And then in 1904, Eugen Schauman assassinated Bobrikov. So, yeah. So right before this case, he was assassinated in 1904. Bobrikov was. Yeah. So, moving on. And, like, of course, yes, this is a time of, Russian rule and stuff and, like, oppression. But then it was also a time of Finnish romanticism, because, like, Finns are really like, we love Finland, we want Finland to be its own country, we want, we don't want to be under Russian rule. We're, like, having direct opposition to Russification right now. And so you can see this, for instance, in Edvard Isto's painting The Attack, which depicts a two-headed eagle of the Russian tearing away a law book from the Finnish maiden's arms. So, like, if people don't know, Finland is in the shape, or used to be in the shape of a maiden. And so that's kind of like the personification of Finland is a Finnish maiden. And all of this symbolized the beginning of Finland's Russification. So, like, these paintings, and then also Finlandia was written by Jan Sibelius, and there was just a lot of art, national romantic art and expression in response to this manifesto that was, created in the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And one could
Makes sense,
argue that kind of all this pressure we got from Russia kind of
created it.
Yeah, made Finns fight back harder
Yeah.
and really realize that, okay, we had to be a country.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we have a bit of the historical background, like very, very minuscule, bite-sized piece of the historical background, because there's so much other shit you could mention about this, like also different, you could go on for a whole podcast, probably multi-part series, just
Let's
on...
just turn our podcast to the history of Finland.
I mean,
I see
some historical cases, so I'm sure we could have enough material for that.
Yeah, I really like these kind of historical stuff too, like doing the historical background and whatnot. But yeah, so let's get on to the murder. So as I pointed out, after the Tsar's manifesto, it was basically impossible for the procurator to do their job, because Bobrikov was like, the procurator would have to report to the governor general, and Bobrikov, who was the governor general at this time, didn't have any Finnish sympathies. Like, he was totally against, any Finnish autonomy at this point. So, and as the procurator and as the supreme guardian of the law, he was kind of like Soisalon-Soininen, or Eliel, was kind of placed in this really impossible situation. And like, he was placed in like one of the most hated positions, because like Finns didn't support him, Russia didn't support him. Like, he just was kind of in a rock and a hard place, to put it lightly. And he felt like it was important to maintain kind of like an open line of communication between the Russians and Finns. So he was like, it's an important job, someone's got to do it. People hate me for it, but I can't do it. Like, I can't just resign, because apparently a lot of other senators and officials resigned en masse at one point, and Soisalon-Soininen was like, well, I need to stay here in order to do the job still.
So what you're saying is that basically everyone hated him, so we can be sure who murdered him eventually.
Well, I mean, he is the one that got murdered, at least, but you don't know. Well, I mean, there's two options who murdered him, right? I mean, do you want to guess
so
who
this is
murdered
an
him?
unsolved case?
No, it's solved. It's solved.
Okay.
It's solved. Yeah. Do you have any guesses? Do you think it's a Finn, or do you think it's a Russian?
Ah.
I was hoping that you're not asking for a concrete name.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
just
the
like-
name. Give me the name.
We have to
The
know
spotlight
this
turns on you. Give me the name. Give me the name.
character from this era, Jean Sibelius and his family. I don't think they were involved.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Mannerheim was serving in the Russian army.
I think it was definitely Mannerheim.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not. But yeah. So no guesses
No
whether it was
guesses.
a Russian or a
I
Finn.
say Finn. I say Finn.
Okay, I'll say Russian then, and we'll see.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yes.
Or maybe it
yeah,
was
so
just a random Swede.
yeah. Yeah, so just a little bit more background on the kind of the position of the procurator too. So like there was a procurator before Soisalon-Soininen, but there was like the previous one died basically in 1900, and so the post was vacant from a few years, and so Bobrikov had like offered this job to Soisalon-Soininen, who initially declined, and going off being most hated, and Bobrikov had also hinted that he would abolish the post of procurator and organize things differently if Soisalon-Soininen did not accept the post. So that's the reason why he kind of agreed to the difficult position, because he's like, then all Finns would lose all of the power that we have, this little tiny power that we do have, we'd lose it, and then like you couldn't express any like views on decisions coming from St. Petersburg, and possibly mitigate any changes in Finland. So that's kind of like he was doing a good job, I think. Like from what I can tell, he seemed like a fair dude. He was just put into a shitty position. So so now I want to tell you a little bit about the assassin. So the assassin was Lennart Hohenthal. So as you can guess the name, yeah, it wasn't a Russian citizen. He was part of a militant faction of the Aktiivisen vastauspuolueen, or the Active Resistance Party.
The resistance.
The resistance, yes. And he had at one point discussed killing Bobrikov, so they were like already wanting to kill Bobrikov at this point too. But
And then they're like, oh, too late.
Someone
too late.
did it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, everyone wanted to kill Bobrikov, but then they're like, but this Soisalon-Soininen guy, he's like the next guy down, so maybe let's just kill him. So that's what they did.
It's like, okay. They're like,
Yeah.
I couldn't get my urge to assassinate someone fulfilled,
Yeah.
so...
So it was not like a personal hate towards this specific guy, but more like whoever holds the power in that position.
Yeah, and I think maybe it was just also a misunderstanding of what he was doing. They probably thought he was just Russia's lackey, but I think if they had taken the time to kind of understand that he was the lesser of the evils. Yes, it's shitty that Russia is in control of Finland at this point, but you can't do anything about it. Like killing this one guy is actually creating a power vacuum, and then that's going to lead Russia to fill the post with somebody else, or like Bobrikov had wanted to do, get rid of the post altogether. I mean, doesn't end up happening, getting rid of the post, but still, you could put in a worse guy, for instance. So, yeah.
So wait, the assassin, was he a Finnish guy then? Because the name
Yes.
didn't sound.
Well, it's
Finnish?
Swedish, Hohenthal. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll just call him Lennart. Lennart. Yeah. Or Hohenthal. I don't know. Whatever you guys prefer.
I mean, Lennart is something that you hear as a name in Finland. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
it's as
Leonard.
a Finnish name, but still.
Leonard. We can call him Leonard since he's a murderer.
Leonard. Leonardo.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the day of the assassination. So at around 10:30 in the morning, a tall young man, Lennart, in a officer's uniform came to Soisalon-Soininen's apartment at Boulevardi 12, or Boulevardi 12, which is like a famous street in Helsinki. So on Boulevardi, he was living.
Well, obviously.
Central location, good, expensive location.
Probably
nowadays.
not as expensive as nowadays, but
Well, yeah, one would hope, even with inflation. So Lennart had rang Soisalon-Soininen's doorbell, and a footman came to open the door, and I think the footman was actually a military dude just dressed as a footman. Yeah, because of course if you're military or government, you're probably going to have people working for you who are military government people too. So anyway, so Lennart gave him a business card, the doorman, which read in French, Alexander de Gade, Lieutenant de la Garde, St. Petersburg, and asked to see the procurator. So, yeah, so he was feigning some type of... oh, yeah, and also just to mention that he was wearing a Russian uniform, a Russian officer's uniform. So that's kind of also the important one.
This sounds way too easy. Just to give a card. This is me.
yeah, like, hi, I'm from the Russian military. I probably have something to talk with you.
Yeah,
Did it have bomb?
Yeah, yeah. Then when Soisalon-Soininen entered the study through the opposite door, and we'll put a map basically on the Instagram that you can see. Yeah, eventually, like where stuff happened. Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, we'll put it there. You can listen to the podcast and then pause this and like, ooh, this is what happened. So then Soisalon-Soininen entered the study through the opposite door, and then Lennart pulled out a pistol and fired a total of 8 shots at him, and 2 of them hit the procurator in the chest and abdomen, and the procurator Eliel was knocked to the ground, and an exchange of shots began between the army dude and
not
Lennart.
Real army dude.
No, yeah, the real army dude and then the non-real army dude, basically. Yeah. And then also at the same time, the procurator's son, Johan, or Juhani, he arrived on the scene, like from another room, and he also started firing in at Lennart. So basically, he was also in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And Lennart even ended up shooting Eliel's son in the leg, and Lennart was like hit, but it was a relatively like harmless wound, and he was taken to the hospital immediately, but under heavy guard. So, not escaping, or so we think.
Such action movie.
Yeah. It really
Except
is,
the
yeah.
part
They made
that
an action movie of this?
I wonder if there is a movie. I didn't actually check. That would be something good to check, actually. But yeah.
Except for the part when when Lennart went into the room and he immediately shot Eliel.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
they didn't have like a 10-minute long conversation about something.
What have you done to Finland? I will never forgive you.
But if there is a movie, I'm sure it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the assassination of Eliel Soisalon-Soininen, the Procurator of Finland. But we can go in a little bit to the aftermath of it, because of course you have the trial and all of that stuff, and then there's a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So not much more. A couple paragraphs. So I thought this was interesting. Like the real kicker was that Lennart's lawyer, his main argument during his defense for clemency was that, Soisalon-Soininen had like neither opposed the Russianization measures nor defended the people's conception of justice. So like, it would have been the main point of the procurator to like support the people and like press down Russianization or like the Russification of Finland. But he didn't do that. So that's why he deserved to die.
I mean, I'm sure in the world there are lots of assassinations where you can say that the victim did unfair things, but I don't still think it's a very good defense for the assassination itself.
No. Like, I don't know, do something else, try to impeach him or do something. Or maybe you should be in the government. If that's, what you feel like you could do a better job, then try. okay, it was a fixed system, you probably couldn't, but
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's easy for us to say when we live in a free democracy that there has always been political murders, and in some contexts they have probably made sense. It's more difficult to moralize them in the same way you would see just a normal murder without any political agenda.
yeah.
I mean, it's quite common when society is oppressed for a long time and they don't have any democratic rights or have any power or say in how things go, that it ends up in some sort of a violence or a violent act. But I don't know, based on what you were saying about this guy, it didn't seem like he's the source of all evil.
No, definitely not. Yeah, so basically, so the lawyer didn't think that Lennart was kind of a murderer because, they considered it to be like justified to overthrow a quote-unquote tyrant, because he's totally in control of everything that goes on in Finland, right? No, but yeah. Despite this quote-unquote rousing defense, Lennart was sentenced to life in prison. But it doesn't end there, because about 5 to 6 months later, on October 10th, he escaped from prison.
Ooh.
So he sawed through the bars of the outside of his cell, like that went to the outside, like the wall, I guess. And apparently a friend had lowered a hacksaw down attached to a rope, like to his window or something, and then he was able to saw through the window. And then he used a rope to descend to the yard. And then friends of his on the outside of the prison threw a rope ladder over the prison wall. And then he used that to climb to the other side to freedom.
And
And
so
then
it was a team effort.
Yeah, definitely. And then the escape went well, and apparently like maybe too well, because there were suggestions that there could have been help from bribed guards or drugged policemen or etc. Kind of this, like maybe some sympathizers like, yeah, this guy doesn't deserve to be here, he did justice for Finland.
So maybe they ignored even when they saw that he was using the saw or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that would be quite loud. And then even Russian warships in the bay didn't stop the rowboat from escaping either, so it was just like no chance of people stopping him to escape. So so the last little bit here. So after his escape, he eventually made his way to London via Stockholm. So he traveled to Stockholm, then went to London, and then he assumed the name Erik Alfven. And he eventually married. He had 2 kids, and he eventually died in London in 1951.
1951?
Yeah.
Like that's already far after Finnish independence.
Yeah. Yes. And which is also another important, like a interesting fact that I'm going to also bring up in like a sentence. So then his remains were repatriated to Helsinki, and he was buried in Helsinki's old cemetery. But eventually, in the name of Finnish independence, he was pardoned in 1918 of Soisalon-Soininen's murder and is considered today as a freedom fighter.
Oh.
So
he got pardoned, but he didn't come back anyway.
Yeah, which I was like, it's interesting. If you're like cleared of all things, and then I guess London was better than Helsinki or something. I don't know. But
so in the current Finnish sort of narrative, do we think that this Soisalon-Soininen guy was a bad guy and the assassin was a good guy?
I couldn't find anything that was resounding like he was evil, he did bad. It was just kind of like a neutral guy that was just in power, and then people just took it out on the guy in power. As far as I understood with like all of the stuff that I read, because it just seemed that
just interesting that he was pardoned. Like, what was the? I don't know if there was an explanation.
Then again, if he was directly under Bobrikov. Like, well, of course, Bobrikov was so obviously the oppressor.
Yeah, in that regard, like, we know that Bobrikov was the oppressor, but not Soisalon-Soininen, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a bit of a gray area to me, reading all of these things, so.
But I do understand, like,
during wartime or like these tumultuous times, things can be forgiven a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, and I think
But-
for when Finland just got independence, I guess that's kind of like, okay, but he was like in the fight, like he was fighting against the oppressing governors, whether they
Yeah.
were bad or good. Maybe that doesn't
Yeah,
matter
I think
at
the-
that point anymore.
Yeah, and I think the part that gets a bit confusing is because Soisalon-Soininen was, Finnish. He was a Finnish guy. He wasn't, a Russian coming to Finland taking a Finnish name. So I think that's the part that gets a bit confusing. Because if the guy had like a Russian name, then it would have been a bit more clear that, okay, he was assassinated because the Russian oppressor. But now that he's Finnish, it's kind of like, did he really have such strong opinions about Russia that he was in support of, that would warrant him being murdered? I don't know. I don't think so. But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about either of them
sounds
too.
like it would be interesting to
Yeah.
read about him.
But what happened then to the position after Soisalon-Soininen was murdered? Did someone else just
I think someone else took the job, yeah, because I mean, it's currently also a position, like, what is it, the chancellor, something or other.
Yeah, but I guess that's more of a position that they kind of created for the new democratic, independent Finland.
Yeah, that is it for me. Yeah, thanks for listening to
Very
this
interesting
episode, this historical episode. Who's going next? It's Victoria next. Do you have any hint for next time?
I don't have hints. I wasn't prepared for hints. I'm sorry. It's gonna be a Hungarian case.
Really?
Yes.
Oh shit.
No way!
Wow.
Probably.
Can you like understand Hungarian?
Wow.
Just a little bit, yes.
Yeah. That's so impressive. It's so impressive.
Oh, I completely forgot that I was supposed to give a hint. And I haven't really decided. I have like a list of a few things or a few different cases that I will want to cover at some point. But yeah, sorry, you'll be surprised.
Pleasantly surprised, of course.
Hopefully.
Always a pleasant.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, so thanks for listening this week, and we'll catch you next week or the week after that. You can follow us on Instagram at Translation Murder Podcast. Translation Murder Podcast, yeah. And you can send us an email at translationmurderpodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, thanks again for listening this week. Hei paralla.
Bye.
Moro.